This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global at Punch London. I'm joined by the wise guy himself, British champion Frank Buglioni. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, thanks, KUGAN.
All good. It's quite a bit of you sparring there with Ricky Summers of all people. Yeah, how'd it go?
Yeah, brilliant. He's a lovely fella, Ricky. Like I said before the fight, I had a lot of respect for him, a lot of admiration, and even more so after the fight and performance he put in. And yeah, no, it was a pleasure to have him here in the gym. Got some good rounds out, and he brought his teammate Lennox Clark, another good solid fighter. So yeah, got rounds out both of them, and it was a brilliant spar.
Is it weirder when you spar someone and then fight them, or fight them then spar them? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm trying to think if. Do you know what? It's probably weirder fighting someone and then sparring them after. Yeah. Because you kind of, when you go into a fight, you're preparing for them, and then when they come in and you're sparring is a little bit of a different mentality. No, it's a strange one, but it was. He's got a similar style to Callum Johnson. Kind of looks for certain shots that Callum does, and he's a big old lump, so it's ideal.
Obviously, the fight with Callum Johnson was announced a few weeks ago for the undercard of Joshua and Kovalev. So for a start, a huge card in Cardiff on the 28th of October. So you must be pleased about that, first of all.
Yeah, I mean, being on an AJ undercard, it takes a lot of pressures off. I mean, there's positives and negatives. With the AJ, you get good exposure, but then you kind of also get swallowed up in the AJ phenomenon. And it's the same with the tickets. Like, yeah, you don't have to sell any tickets, so there's no pressure, but then you can't get tickets for people that want them. So there's good and bad, and no, I mean, you've got to look at the positives, and it's a phenomenal card to be on. Stadium fights, and what an experience. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to fight in the undercard and perform under the lights.
Now, over the last sort of 2 or 3 months, there was a lot of sort of stuff going on outside of the ring in regards to you and Anthony Yarde and Jose Burton and all this, and now obviously Callum Johnson, and you wasn't around at the time. I think you was away, and you must have sort of seen bits and bobs of people kind of mentioning your name, and we hadn't spoken to you. Now we are speaking to you about it, but what did you make of all that? Obviously Frank Warren put out in a press conference and said, you know, rather than Anthony Yarde fight Jose Burton, let's just go straight for Frank Buglioni, who's already beaten Jose Burton. So what did you make of that whole situation?
You can't jump queues, can you? It's like I can't just turn around and, like a few months ago, turn around and go, do you know what, Nathan Cleverly, don't fight Badou Jack, fight me. It doesn't make sense. Like you have to earn your shot, and you can't beat up 12 road sweepers and fight straight for the British title, can you? Callum Johnson, he's Commonwealth champion. Again, another unbeaten fight, but he's fought some good names. He's worked his way through. Now he's mandatory. So I have to fight my mandatory. Otherwise, I lose the British title. And with all due respect, I'm not going to give up the British title to fight for a WBO European, which I won in my 14th fight. I've been there, I've done it. You know, if it was an EBU, like the proper European or the EU title, then maybe I'd think about it. But not WBO European and a so-called top 10 ranking, but let's see Anthony Yarde if he fights for a world title, because Kovalev's the top of that division. I don't think he'll go anywhere near him. So yeah, there's a lot of talk and there's a lot of hype surrounding that fire, but I'll come through Callum Johnson and I'll come through him well, and then I have a voluntary, and then I'll put the voluntary out to a few people and let's see who bites.
When obviously had the situation regarding Anthony Yarde and Jose Burton, Eddie Hearn was kind of putting out this message to Anthony Yarde saying, you know, do not pull out of the bids and, you know, take this fight and etc. The fight didn't happen as we know. So Anthony Yarde went on and he fought recently, and seems to be that kind of ship has sailed in regards to Jose Burton. But
well, I'm sure he could take that Jose Burton fight still. I'm sure if they went, do you know what, Jose Burton and Anthony Yarde fight, I'll go, do you know what, I'll fight the winner of them. I'll give my last voluntary to them. I'll say it on camera. My last voluntary I'll give to the winner of Jose Burton and Anthony Yarde. So you've got your time, frame, fight each other, and I'll give you that shot. Unless, if you want to do it at the end of the year, if you want to do it at the beginning of next year, all well and good. But Anthony Yarde, he won't fight Jose Burton. Jose Burton is all wrong for Anthony Yarde. He throws that overhand right, he chops it down, he's rangy, he's got a decent work rate. He'll outwork Anthony Yarde and he'll stop him. I think he'll just chop that right hand over the top and it'll expose the inexperience that Yarde's got. Yarde ain't a bad fighter, he ain't put a foot wrong, but he hasn't tested himself. He hasn't fought anyone of note. And Jose Burton, he's had that massive amateur experience. He's a good fighter. He's been in with some good names, and he's blown a few good fighters away. So yeah, my money would be on Jose Burton, which I said when the fight was originally made that they'd pull out for those reasons, and that's what they've done. Anthony
Yarde said that the original thing with you and him started actually from a tweet that you put out.
No. So sorry to
yeah.
Anthony Yarde's fans were calling me to fight him. If you look back on my Instagram, there was someone made a concept poster. Well, it looks quite good. I'll put a post up and I'll write something underneath. There's a lot of people that obviously see the picture and kind of come up with their own assumption without even reading the text underneath that I wrote. I said, I didn't call for this fight, but if Anthony Yarde wants it, we'll then contact my people and we'll get it on. But if he's not a mandatory and I've got the British title, there's not much I can do. But what I can do is say, I'll give you my voluntary defence. If you want my last voluntary defence, fight Jose Burton, beat him, and you can have it. But now he'll turn around and say, oh, I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to do this. He'll just find excuses to worm his way out. If he wants it, he'll go and destroy Jose Burton for a career payday, and then he'll come and fight me, and in his words, he'll bash me up and take another career high payday, but he won't take either fight.
Is this more to do with promoter channel politics ahead of whether the actual fighters, including all yourself, you, Anthony, and Jose, and whoever, you know, I'm sure if you will fight anyone and Anthony will fight anyone, I'm assuming that's the case.
So.
You don't believe that's the case?
No, I don't think Anthony Yarde will fight anyone. Certainly, he's a clever man, and he kind of knows the map, the route that they're going to go down, and he's protecting him. And rightly so, that's what a trainer should do. But I truly believe Anthony Yarde doesn't really want these big fights at the moment because he knows he hasn't got the experience. And you know if you've got that experience from hard sparring, hard fights, coming through, and then you rate yourself and you've got belief. But if you haven't done that, it's the unknown. And at the moment they're a little bit, I wouldn't say scared, I'd say it is the unknown for them. So they don't want to take it. But all that aside, forget Anthony Yarde.
Do you rate him though?
I think he's a decent fighter, but I think he's very untested, and there's quite a few flaws there. And I think when that right hand lands on the top of his head or on his chin, and I find that body, don't matter how many abs you got in that body, I'm punching through it.
Callum Johnson, like we said, 28th of October, and you'll know a bit about Callum Johnson. We've kind of seen Callum Johnson a little bit stop-start. In his career, and you know, Joe Gallagher's always said that we get to see the best of Callum, but how do you rate him as a fighter, and how tough is this fight going to be for you on October 28th?
He's a good solid fighter. Is he better than Jose Burton? No. I think Jose Burton, I think he bashes him in sparring. I think he really gets the better of him. I mean, styles, they make fights, and Callum Johnson, he comes forward, so he'll have to get past my long shots, and then he'll beat me on the inside, but I throw enough power on the outside to hurt him, and I throw enough venom and frequency to hurt him on the inside and outwork him. So I don't really see Callum Johnson last in the later rounds, if I'm honest. He's a very good fighter, he's strong, he's got a nice left hook, body and head. That's where he goes. I mean, he'll be dangerous for maybe 5-6 rounds, but I'll outbox him, and then I'll outfight him, and then I'll stop him.
How long before you believe you could be away from this current British scene you're involved with at the moment? And it's weird to say that to you, considering that you've already fought for a world title.
Yeah,
but the situation you're in at the moment is that you're the British champion, but
yep.
How long before, or ideally for you, before you kind of come away from that?
Yeah, well, you've got to be honest. When I was a super middleweight, I went for the world title, and I was below the level, and it's as simple as that. I didn't have the experience. I had the grit and the determination to hang in there, and I had the power to hurt him, but I didn't have that experience, and that's now what I've got. So I'm waiting in the wings, and there's some fantastic domestic clashes, so that I'm sure that I'm going to be in some great fights in the next 6 months, win this British outright, win the Commonwealth, and then look at maybe Europeans, and then world honours in another year, 18 months, who knows.
Eddie Hearn reveals to us, which, I mean, I didn't know about this, about fights that were offered with Kovalev, with Ward. Obviously Ward's retired now.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he didn't want to fight you, so he retired. But yeah, talk to me a little bit about that. It comes down to a case of you weren't ready to take them fights?
I'm honest, KUGAN. I'm going to be honest. I'm honest with myself, and I'm honest with the fans. How am I going to beat Andre Ward? I'll take a fight that I know that I've got a chance of winning. I've taken fights at 50-50, sometimes 60-40. Chudinov was probably 80-20 in his favour when I took that fight. I thought, okay, but I know that I've got something that can get to him, and I know that I can land shots on him. Andre Ward, you can't even hit him, can you? So, no, I knew that. And I'm not in there to go in for a payday. I want to go in there, I want to beat him, and I want to move up the rankings. And with Andre Ward, it's a stretch too far. And I actually spoke to him personally. I thanked him for the opportunity, and I said, I'm not at your level yet, but if ever you want some sparring, I'll be glad to come and do some sparring. And then he retired, so obviously he's nervous, isn't he, KUGAN? No, but no, what a great champion, and I wish him all the best in retirement.
And Kovalev?
He's in the Who Needs Him club. He ain't got a belt. He punches like a mule. It's one of them fights you don't need. I mean, if he had a world title and it was massive money, then you'd kind of think about it, probably for a little bit longer and say no. But no, I think these are the sort of the Kovalevs. Kovalev, he's kind of aging each fight now. So who knows, in like 2 years' time, that might be a perfect time to go get him. And boxing's all about timing, and the landscape changes. I feel like I'm coming into my prime. I'm not there yet, but give me 2-3 years, and you, fingers crossed, you see the best of me.
You know what? It is refreshing to listen to anyone say that, and being honest about, you're talking about pound for pound. I know he's just retired. Pound for pound, 2 of the best fighters in the current day in Kovalev and Andre Ward. They've just had 2 fights. Yeah. So for you to just talk honestly about realistically where you would be with those fights, it's good to hear, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you got to be honest in this game, and the fact that I am honest, and I know my ability at current, and I know my potential, and I know what you have to do to just keep working. And there's fighters out there, there's world champions that are out there that I believe that I'm kind of at on the same sort of level, but it's getting the right opportunities at the right times and taking them. And obviously, since winning the British, my ability's gone up, my confidence has gone up, and you probably get the same, more so when you win a world title. You're going to kind of raise your game to that level, and you've seen that with a lot of domestic fighters. They win that world title when they go on strength to strength. So I know that will happen for me, but at the right time.
So obviously, what we're away, less than 4 weeks away.
Yep, finish this week, another 2 hard weeks, and then a week of tapering, and get up to Cardiff, settle in, go and do the business.
Absolutely. Will that be your last fight of the year?
I won't. Never say never. I know there's some.
I suppose it's dependent on obviously how it goes, and how long it goes, and etc. Yeah,
exactly that. But yeah, I don't look too far in the future. Callum Johnson, he's the only thing on my mind right now. That's the only fight that exists for me, and that's all I want. I'm gonna go and win that fight, win it well, and then we'll see what goes from there.
But in the meantime, while everyone's mentioning your name in different situations, it's all good publicity, I suppose. That's the way to look at it.
Yeah, let them mention my name, but actions speak louder than words, KUGAN, and I'm doing what I feel is right. I respect the British title. I want to win it outright. I want to face my mandatory, and then let's see who wants it.
So if you get past Callum Johnson, if you do, You got one more defence of that.
Yep.
And so that's what you want to do. You want to own that belt outright and then move on from there.
Yeah, in a light heavyweight division that hasn't been done for about 25 years, and you've got some big names that have won it. Cleverly, Bellew, all gone on to be world champions. I think Owen McKenzie was on there, Clinton Woods. So I mean, to keep that actual belt that have got all them names on, that's something special. So yeah, I'm going to do that.
Definitely. And obviously Cleverly retired recently as well.
Yeah.
Did you speak to him at the Boxing Board Awards?
I didn't get a chance to speak to him. I think he's done phenomenally well, two-time world champion. His losses have been to very good fighters. And sometimes I mean the Fonfara fight, I thought he would have beat Fonfara, but he was away from home. It was always going to be a hard one. And obviously Bellew at cruiserweight, I don't think cruiserweight helped Nathan Cleverly, but yeah, he's had a fantastic career, and I wish him all the best in retirement.
All right, Frank, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I feel a little bit privileged the fact that you've come down to the gym to give me an interview. It's nice to
Frank, don't
have me
talk
make
like
KUGAN back, you know.
Don't talk like that. I was at your pro debut, remember?
Yeah, I know you was. And then when things started getting a bit tough, KUGAN give me the elbow.
Listen, I don't want to bring it out, but the fights that you haven't been your best nights, I've been there as well.
Yeah.
So don't forget that.
True. Nah, it's good to have you back, KUGAN. It's good to do an interview.
I never went anywhere, Frankie boy. All right, top man. KUGAN CASSIUS, IFL TV, Frank Buglioni. Thank you very much.